Well, Eurovision, you decide it's over. We have a winner, and we all know you Brits and your self-deprecating sense of humor. So, of course, I have to have a Brit with me, Robert. Are you ready to take the show apart?
Oh, aren't I always? Good evening, Matt. Yes, I am a bona fide British person, and I'm ready here to tell us about the joy in my heart as I can just see another 24th place is within our grasp.
Oh, wow, I love your optimism. But let's, as you can see, let's talk Eurovision. Sup, you fools! Matt, ESC United, your favorite Eurovision channel, and yes, the United Kingdom has picked their act, and it is Michael Rice and the song Bigger Than Us. So
it's bigger than us. It's bigger than you and me. It's bigger than us.
So, Robert, let's not jump ahead and judge the song right away. Let's talk about this show. Overall impression before we go into the details. What did you think?
Oh, I thought it was an excellent show. I do have a few problems, which I don't think we will go into today, with how the BBC choose the entrants for the national final.
No,
but I do think...
Shoot, because I want to talk about that. So, in
Okay.
case all the listeners, in case you know how, there were actually 6 acts competing, but there were only 3 songs. So there were 2 acts performing one song. So Sweet Lies performed by Carrie-Anne and Anissa, then Freaks performed by Jordan Clark and Made, and then Bigger Than Us performed by Holly Tandy and Michael Rice.
The BBC, ever since we started up the national selection again, just seem to have basically gone for X Factor rejects, to be dead honest. It's a lot of people who have entered other talent competitions, and that appears to be the only claim to fame they have. And to me, it just seems a bit of a shame that those are the only people we're interested in having, because there's such a music scene out there in the UK. And I'm not just talking about the big names. I mean, of course, we would love it if we could get one of our international icons to go to Eurovision. But there's so much out there that doesn't do the talent shows and is just making a steady living in the UK. And it'd be great to tap into that for a change, rather than just going, which talent show did you lose? Oh, great.
Great. Where did you finish in 9th place? It is, and what I'm also saying, it seems very little range in age as well. They all seem to be very young, a certain age group. There's less experience and less, I don't want to say sophistication. I'm calling them not sophisticated, but certainly they found their niche, their groove, I feel, which is always very important. I think that could have been one of the issues. But the show started fairly quickly, right? And the first act that performed was Carrie-Anne and Anissa, one after another, Sweet Lies. And ultimately, there was a 3-0 vote, sending Carrie-Anne to the next round. In case you know, so the first round, 3 panel members. They get to pick the songs. The televoters had no say whatsoever in the first round. So they both performed Sweet Lies, and then they decided Carrie-Anne had the better song, and therefore moved on to the next round. And then we had a super final, if you will. What do you think, Robert? Did they make the right call?
Overall, yes, I do. This is the hardest pair of songs to decide, pair of versions, I suppose, to decide between for me. I have to say, I had lent Anissa when I first listened to the songs last month, but on the live performances, I think Carrie-Anne had it. Her interpretation is a lot more lively, it's a lot more upbeat, and Anissa's, it just felt too quiet. The audience were extremely excitable throughout the entire show, and they were shouting out a bit during her performance, and it just made the song feel so small. And of course that can work. We've had Salvador winning very recently, and he did so with a song that was extremely intimate, extremely personal, but you felt it. Whereas I just think that this song wasn't quite designed for that, and it showed.
Yes.
And so, yes, I think Carrie-Anne was the right win in this case. I'm also very pleased that the UK managed to come up with some form of result under 20 minutes after the national final started. In some countries, we haven't even heard the first song by that point.
I know, right? That is true. No, and I mostly agree with you from what you're saying. Now, when I watched the 2 performances, Carrie-Anne, I was definitely gravitating towards that one as well. And yes, you make a very valid point about the audience. It seems the UK crowd, most of them seem to be diehard Eurovision fans. That's not just casual people, right? So they're a little bit more, I'm not sure if rowdy is the right word, but certainly very, energetic and excited. And that's good. We want to have excited fans. But it also kind of is confusing with when Anissa performed, Sweet Lies, okay, this kind of doesn't maybe carry as much. Well, while you point out Salvador from Portugal, he was at Festival de Canção. That's a very quiet audience. That's not like a woo
Yeah.
woo woo kind of thing. So it's a very different environment and feel, and that can really work against it. Now the
Yes.
jury members, or the panel members, I should say, they left comments, their thoughts, and insight. Do you think they were fair in their assessment,
Yes.
or they were like a little bit too biased?
I think that they were fair in the case of Sweet Lies. I think that they were very positive about both songs, and I felt that they had some good comments to make about the two. And I have to say, I feel that Anissa was a little hard done by the scoreline of a 3-0 win for Kerry Ann, because I thought that her version was better than that. But I'm not too surprised that that's the way that they went based on what they'd said.
Yes. So Carrie Ann moving on to the second round, and then next up were Jordan Clark, and then the band, the trio Made, performing Freaks, like you and me, and
Moi
a
and
very
toi.
polarizing, controversial song. It seems a lot of people hated it, but it has a good amount of supporters, and I think the two of us are basically the living example here. Because if you watch my reaction video, Jordan Clark was my favorite. He was the one that really got me excited. The song was catchy enough for me, and I wanted to sing along. Yes, I get it. It's canon in D, but at least the melody just really at least worked for me. So he went through. I was thrilled. Out of those two, I guess, Made. I guess they tried to harmonize and then decided maybe not. It didn't really work out that well. So I think that
Yeah.
they made the right decision. But Robert, if I hear correctly, I didn't catch that. One of the lady from the Saturdays, she actually voted for Made because she wanted a girl band at Eurovision, huh?
Yeah, I have to say, I'm not too sure if that's really the way to go. I mean, fair enough. I'd love a good girl band at Eurovision. That was not it. And surely that would ruin the chances of any future good girl
I
band
know,
getting
right?
in, because it would set such a bad example.
You hated
No,
that song, though. Anyway, you were not a fan anyway,
yeah,
right?
Freaks I thought was an abysmal song. I'm sorry, any song that's trying to represent the United Kingdom, Queen's English, and includes the rhyme locker and soccer in
I
the
didn't catch
first
that
part
either.
of the song.
I didn't even catch that because I.
You wouldn't know, Matt, because you see, you're not British. You see, these are the things that we notice. And I'm sorry, that just lost me from the beginning. From the first time I heard it, when the songs were released last month, it was painful to hear. It was somebody who clearly has not looked at their market. And
Good.
yeah, I just find that both songs, both interpretations, different as they may be, it's a rubbish song, and I don't think anyone could make much good of it. Jordan's was the better version. They actually said in their brief interview before the song that this was the first time they were performing live. I don't think they needed to tell us that.
I know that is okay.
It
Were they
became
just
quite
thrown
clear.
together as a band? Like, hey, you
Nope.
all look cute. You can just do your thing. I don't know.
No,
what
they've
they
been
were-
together for a year. They've been together for a year, but they've
Really?
not performed live before, apparently, which was a bit of a surprise.
Okay, that is rando. So
Yes.
yeah, but as said, it was a 2-1 vote for Jordan Clark to move on to the next round, and then next up it's Holly Tandy and Michael Rice, Bigger Than Us, and Michael Rice won 3-0, and obviously he won the whole darn thing. So before we go into that, like, do you think they made the right call from the get-go between Holly and Michael?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously, and I'm sorry for those of us who now don't understand when I change accents, but you see, I was a bit of a Holly supporter, because she, like me, were made in Yorkshire. So for those of you who don't know, this is
I
Yorkshire
can't even
accent.
talk like that.
Yeah, no, please don't try. That's not from Yorkshire. So yes, going back to my normal accent, yes. She made in Yorkshire. By gods, I hope people understood her. I actually felt sorry for Martin listening to her because she has such a broad accent. I preferred her version, and it wasn't by much. And given the reaction of other people, I was fairly ready for her not to make it through. So I wasn't too upset that she didn't make it. Again, 3-0 feels a bit harsh on her because I thought it was a good way of doing it, and I liked her approach.
Yeah. So Michael Rice ultimately won this round as well. They're moving on. How do you feel about the whole stage thing? Personally, I felt as there were a lot of lackluster staging. It seems as most of them were upbeat, and then the upbeat one had like 2 or 3 random dancers with like outfits, but it seemed very lackluster choreography. They're just doing the thing. It wasn't really with the melody. I mean, yes, with the melody, but certainly not with the theme per se. It seemed very low effort. I'm not saying they all have
Yeah.
to bring out not the craziest, like things out there, LED screens, and make it work, but it seemed to be not much effort being put into this. Or is that just am I being too harsh on this?
No, I think it's an interesting approach. I mean, all sorts of comments that fly around the BBC. Are they just trying to be a bit cheap here? I mean, maybe. But then again, at the end of the day, only one of these is going to be going to Tel Aviv, and why not, therefore, whatever budget they have for it, why not focus that on the winning song rather than trying to do epic and grand stagings, 5 of 6, which will end up in the bin
But it's the
after
BBC.
tonight.
They have more money than God. Look at all the smaller networks that
That
broadcasters who
make
can
more of
put
an
something
effort.
together. Yeah, make more of an effort. I feel that
Yeah,
was a lackluster effort, the staging and everything. I was just a little let down because, again, I don't need to have Sega Lazarus climbing up a wall, right? I'm not referring to
yeah.
that. I'm just referring a little bit more thought put in. You don't have to have any kind of gimmicks per se, but a little bit more of a direction, I guess. That is what I was looking for.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. The staging was very minimalistic. I suppose it was minimal for everybody. It wasn't as if one of the cast had a large piece of staging that, and you may be thinking, has this one got the favorite nod here? But yeah, I think it would have been nice to maybe seen a little bit more going on there, maybe a little more effort. It did seem to be very much focused on the performer. I think in terms of props, the biggest was Holly's chair.
Ooh, a chair. Yeah, and then up the stairs, it looked like the backdrop. It looks like a mountain or something. That it at least was visually a little
Yeah.
bit more distinct, right? It stood out to me a
Yes.
little bit more. That to remember.
Sorry, I'm getting myself mixed up. Anissa's chair, not Holly's. Sorry.
Holly's. Oh, see, I mixed up the names, so it's
Anissa,
never mind then. So, and then, as said, they moved on to the final round where Michael Rice, Jordan Clark, and Carrie Ann battled it out, and ultimately the televoters, 100% public vote, decided that Michael Rice, bigger than us, is going to Tel Aviv, representing the United Kingdom. And were you surprised? Did you think Carrie Ann's going to pull through, or your thoughts?
I really hoped that she was going to. I thought her second performance it just had a little more spark to it than her first. I mean, her first I thought was excellent, but the second one, it just felt like she was really putting everything into it. And I'm kind of disappointed in us sending Michael because it just sounds like so many other songs we've had at Eurovision. It has the same kind of, yeah, come on everyone, I'm going to get on and dance, yeah. And it just doesn't, there's no real strength behind it. I felt that his performance were a bit hit and miss. Some notes he was hitting and others he was missing. I'm also a bit worried for it, given the backing vocals, the kind of gospel choir effect that he has in there. It does feel like something that will be very hard to replicate at Eurovision, given the fact that there are of course, the limits of only 6 people on stage and singing. And I don't think he's going to achieve that effect. I'm sure that he's using recorded backing vocals to get there. And so I worry that it will not sound the same and it will sound worse come Eurovision than it does at the moment. And that is a real concern for me because as far as I'm concerned, you now have, the time, the 3 months now to improve the song and make it better. And it just feels like, unless we're all wrong about the choir effect, of course, that they're only going to be able to make it worse.
Yes.
And I think that's a shame.
That is a shame. I'm with you on that. Like, I think it should have been Carrie Ann as well. And it comes down to personal taste. The song just doesn't grab me as much, live in particular. It feels like something that happened in 2005 that is performed by the runner-up of the X Factor kind of thing, or like the winning songs. And it's something, this ballady stuff. And yes, he was very much into the performance. The audience was definitely into it. The song to me didn't feel as much of a, yay, ooh, let's sing, like get the crowd fired up. It seems a little bit less. I missed the connection there. The song to me, again, as you pointed out, will be very hard to stand out at Eurovision. And what bothers me probably the most is that the panel tends to always kind of give their little moments like, hey, I like Michael the best. And that subconsciously makes people go, oh yeah, let's vote for this. It happened the same in Germany in 2017 when they told Levina, the fans, like, no, she should sing the other song because, there are too many ballots already. So the voters flipped completely over in the second round, the votes. I'm like, why would you do that? Don't listen to the panels. Listen to your heart. So that kind of bothered me as well. But what you pointed out is like this kind of performance that they have right now works for the smaller BBC Eurovision fan crowd there. Which may not work at Eurovision. What do they need to do with the staging? Do you have any idea what they need to do to improve upon it.
Apart from change the lyrics, the singer, and just send Carrie Ann with Sweet Lies instead. I mean, let's start a trend of telling the British public that they got their voting correct, eh? Might produce some bigger changes, if I'm allowed to say that. But no, I don't know where to start with that one in a way. It's difficult. I think that if you're going to try and get the kind of choir effect, you're going to need to pack it with backing singers and make sure they're loud. I think maybe try and tone down some of his higher note attempts because they just did not come across well at all. There's a brief bit in the song where he's almost saying it rather than singing it. The start needs definitely boosting up because it starts really low key and the first half minute is dead as dishwater and it just needs something to kind of get the audience dragged in a little more quickly. In terms of actually how to stage it, then yeah, I mean, let's go glitzy. Let's make it it's bigger than us. Come on, let's boost it up. You've got to play that angle up. I don't think it's going to come across as well, I'm afraid, but you just got to go big or go home, I think, with this one.
Yes, or both. But
I don't think we'll be bringing Eurovision home to the UK with this song.
Yeah, I know it. No, and you make very valid points. I feel like he needs to control more, put more focus and control of his vocals to be a little bit less off key, I guess, because he had his good moments and then he had his bad moments, and he needs to have just good moments vocally. And I don't necessarily think he needs to do that jumping around woo kind of thing. I'm not saying he has to stand static at a microphone stand the entire time, but I think from what I can imagine, they need to work. Fortunately, they have LED screens now this year in Tel Aviv. I think they need to have beautiful lighting behind him, right?
Yes.
Maybe start out darker and then get like white light and then just build upon as the song builds, build the lighting, and then maybe at the big bridge, of course, just grab the microphone and do your thing kind of thing. But it needs to be less messy, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I thought it was very messy, the staging. It felt, I wouldn't say karaoke, but it certainly felt a little less, rehearsed.
I can see where you're coming from with that, to be honest. Yeah, it is a bit like, you're on stage, you've got a microphone.
Like, everybody!
Yeah, woo!
Yes.
And it's like, come on. You're meant to be someone who's at least sort of professional.
Yes, correct.
Maybe that'll come with time.
Maybe it'll come. And they have a few months to fix it, but I'm just hoping they're watching. I think that's what they're doing. I know it's only, I think, the 5th song that's been chosen so far. So we cannot really say where it's going to end up. One of the panelists says this would be definitely a jury magnet. What do you think is the potential for this song? Do you think there's any potential it being on the left side of the scoreboard? Again, still waiting for the competition, but do you think there is...
I'm sorry. I'm not waiting for the competition. It's the UK.
I'm trying to be nice.
We have sent better entries than this in the last few years. I'm not even going to go back that far. It's still not looking great, and I would be genuinely shocked if it got even out of the 20s. I mean, I actually posted this online afterwards that I thought that I was resigning myself to another 20s placing, and one of my friends asked if I meant points or actual ranking. British friend, I will hasten to add, this was a fellow Brit. So, yeah, I would be gobsmacked if this does better than Storm.
Okay.
I really would.
Wasn't she only? She wasn't 24th place.
24th.
Right? Yeah, out of 26. So that's a pretty low
And I
bar,
thought that was a much better song.
Oh, there you go. I kind of agree with you. I think the only thing that could be the saving grace for it, I think, is an unexpected jury push on this one. For some reason, they do click with it and they put it like as high as they did. Not Molly. What's her name? I never give up on you. What was her name? Lucy. She was like 10th place with the juries. If he gets a push like that, then maybe he can kind of get like 16th, 17th or something like that. But other than that, I don't see much either at this point, which is unfortunate because, I mean, you obviously, as a Brit, is rooting for UK to do well. I want the UK to do well because, number one, I love the country. Number two, the flights are so cheap from California to London. So I want you to host Eurovision.
No, we'd host it in Scotland, I think. That would just be convenient for me.
Okay, well, yeah, great. So
it has been hosted in Edinburgh before now.
Yeah. So I mean, we want them to do well, but it's just we're gonna be honest here. It's just I don't know if the song is there to really leave an
No.
impact. But besides that, did you enjoy the show, like the inner the lacks and all of that stuff?
Oh,
I know Netta performed, Mansell Malo did his thing,
yeah.
and
Well,
all
there's
these
a downside.
the big acts.
Yeah, I have to say, I think that as much as I disagree with how the BBC is selecting the 6 entrants for the national final, I think that they do a good national final. Like, it was fast. I mean, we got through 9
Minutes,
performances.
right? Was it a 90
Yeah.
minute show?
90-minute national final. We had 6 live song performances for the first round, and then 3 after that for the second round. We had interval out, so we have Netta performing Toy, which I'm sure was wonderful. I was unfortunately absent for the 3 minutes because I really don't like that song, and so I didn't really pay much attention.
I do.
Sorry, not sorry. And then we had
I'm not your toy.
You're the stupid boy. Insert rubber chicken noise. But Storm, oh my goodness me, Suri, wow. I saw comments online about people saying, well, this is what happens when you've got a year to perfect a song. It was a stunning performance. Suri playing at the piano, a soft, much gentler version of Storm than we saw at Eurovision. But it so worked. The string quartet was great. I really thought it was an excellent
They
performance.
should have sent that last year. You probably
Yes.
would have done a lot better. Probably,
Yep.
but you know,
But the
water under the
real
bridge.
Indeed. The real highlight, though, I have to say, was Mans, with a little bit of help from Mel, performing a wonderful medley of what the UK used to be like in Eurovision. The reason why we used to be any good in Eurovision, with all the hits
Self-deprecating
that we had.
humor I'm talking about, yes.
Hey, yeah, but this is it. And we get a Swede to do it, because obviously no British act with that kind of singing ability and performing ability would ever touch Eurovision again. But no, we have congratulations. We got to see Bucks Fizz and actual Bucks Fizz and Mans joining in. We even got to see Mans underwear, which was a moment for us all to enjoy. And then we also had Katrina from Katrina and the Waves, the two of them duetting with her winning entry from 1997. A bit of Gina
22
G, of
years
course.
ago.
Yeah, don't remind me, Matt. I was 4 at the time. And it was just a wonderful medley through all this great history. He delivered it brilliantly, and Mel's interjections at times as well were extremely entertaining. I thought both of them were great hosts again. It's a lovely little combo that they've got there. After one moment where Mel managed to completely miss her cue, and we were left staring at Mans there, and Mel was, I think, literally off stage at the time and had to come charging out to restore the running order of the show.
I live for moments like that, though.
Exactly,
That
and we all do. And Mel has such grace with it all as well. It's just like there is a very friendly feel to the British national finals, I think, and it's a really nice ambience, and they're friendly and possibly over friendly. That's the only criticism you could have. I mean, it was actually really refreshing to hear the comments from the judges about Maid's performance. There were I didn't really like it. I wasn't really feeling it, and it was nice to hear that they do actually occasionally have slightly negative opinions, because sometimes it gets a bit worrying when they're describing all the songs as Eurovision winners and amazing.
Yes.
And I think they
Just
struck
to
the
finish in
balance.
second to last place, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought the show itself was really well done. Although, BBC, if you watch this, please give us the results. We're begging you.
Transparency.
Exactly. I pay for you. I pay my license fee. I literally fund this show. I mean, not on my own. Well, I don't know. Given the staging, I possibly could have done.
I was like, maybe you do.
But seriously, we pay you. Can't you at least give us the results?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's just, I know they never do. It's like, our policy. I'm like, policy schmolicy. We need to see the results, just like at Eurovision. But yeah, that's what we are thinking. We wish, of course, the UK the best of luck. I think they need it this time around. But we would like you for, are we being too harsh? Are we being too silly about this? Keep in mind, it's just for fun. You are
Yes.
allowed to disagree. As always, leave your thoughts below in the comment section, and do not forget to hit that subscribe button. More videos to come. Anyway, have a good day, everyone. Have a good night. Have a good whatever.